the fact that they have jewelry in there
is insane.
Is really weird.
If
Who
Nick
is
got you a
buying
piece of
jewelry at
from
Buckee's?
Buckee's, would you be okay with it?
Huh?
If he got you like a piece of jewelry from Buckee's?
I would be okay with it to his face.
To his face. Yeah. Privately.
And then later I'd be like, this is because the only thing they sell there are like leather bracelets or like zebra print weird like that felt that they cut out and put on wood and they make it a charm, or like sterling silver crosses. That's it.
It's wonderful.
That's it. Midwestern mom's like dream.
Just nutting when they walk through that door and seeing that like whole little home decor area.
Well, welcome to the pod. I'm
Thank
so
you
excited
for
to have
having
you
me.
today. Welcome back to My Body, My Jokes. This is Morgan Gallo here with a new angle, a new format. We love it. I'm coming to you live from Dude IDK Studios in the heart of Denver. You know this place. We love this place. They're the most amazing studio. I'm going to start hosting shows here, which is really exciting. So if you haven't checked out the first one, which you haven't because it's tomorrow and this won't be produced until after then, check out the one on February 8th if you're in Denver. And today I have the pleasure of welcoming someone that I have wanted to talk to for a while, and someone that I think is probably one of the funniest people in Colorado, Rosalie.
Oh my God, hi.
Oh my God, hello.
Thank you for having me, first off.
Yes, of course.
Thank you for the lovely words. It always kind of, do you ever get like weirded out when people like say you're one of the funniest people in a state, but you feel like that can't possibly be true?
Yeah, I'm like,
'Cause
who
I
are
know
you
me.
watching?
Yeah. I'm like,
you think I'm the funniest?
You think I'm the interesting, funny one? No. Oh my God, no.
No, I think you have
right.
some of the most crisp writing that
Thank
I have
you.
heard in a long time. And
Thank
that to me means more than if someone is just like really funny, like off the cuff. I'm like, oh, but can you write though?
Yeah, that's a huge thing that I don't think a lot of people necessarily talk about, or they do in a way where they don't realize they're having that conversation.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've experienced a lot, and I'm sure you have too, is like anytime I'm like talking to someone like in a romantic way or like flirting, and like it eventually comes up I do stand up.
Yeah.
Most of the time they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, like people tell me I should do comedy because I'm just like I'm so like situationally funny and like I'm really witty on my feet," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a huge part of
Witty
it."
on
But
my feet. Yeah.
like, again, like, can you actually like craft a joke?
Oh no, it's a
Can you-
completely different art
It's a
form.
completely different style
Being
of humor.
funny when you are surrounded by people you, number one, know, number two, know you, and number three, feel comfortable around is a completely different setting than when you're going on stage to a bunch of strangers that are cold, have no idea what you're doing there, don't even know anything about you, and you just have to like start talking funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
That's
then like
nuts.
depending on the demographic of where you are, might just hate you right off the bat for any number of reasons. And then you're like, well,
You want to go to rural Florida? I'll tell you some stories about that shit.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can talk about Florida right now in a negative way, but
Well, my parents are down there. They're alive, so it's okay.
You're like,
Things are fine.
Personally speaking, everything on the island of Morgan, we are waving flags.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, I was in Florida when there was a few hurricanes and it was scary, and it sucks obviously, but I was just like, it wouldn't be the worst thing if it went under, you know what I mean?
Honestly, it is kind of one of those things where I'm like, it is eventually going to fall off.
It's
into
a
the ocean.
peninsula. It's gonna
happen. It's gonna happen. I don't want it to happen now, and I want everyone to be okay, but I just want us to also remember that this is inevitable. So
Also, karma exists.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So obviously you've heard her. She is a comedian. Rosalie you're from Fort Collins, or you live there right now?
So I live there right now. I grew up in Colorado Springs, just a couple hours south of there. And then when I went to college, I went to UNC in Greeley.
Oh, wow. So you've been all over the map.
I've been all over the map of like Colorado.
Yeah.
I haven't really been all over the map of like the greater United States, which I'm really hoping to change. So yeah, I went to Greeley for college. And then after I graduated from there, I was kind of like, I had already started stand up in Fort Collins at that point.
Cool.
And in my head, I was like, I guess it just makes sense to move here. You know, where like I already kind of know people and people are getting to know me, because I was still in like my first year of comedy. You know, I didn't want to like suddenly jump down to Denver and then have to start.
Yeah, it's a big scene.
It's a huge scene. There's so much talent here, and like it was very intimidating at the time. So I'm really happy I went to Fort Collins, where at the time we had such a culture of like nurturing new comics and like actually teaching and like actually investing in them and like making sure that they were producing like good work. I think that really, honestly, is like was kind of the cherry on top for me.
Yeah.
Because I've always been like kind of naturally like funny and witty. I did like theater all through high school. I went to college for
so
theater.
You're like used to the stage.
Yeah,
it's
being
not a
on stage was
you.
never the hard part for me. I never had to like deal with like the stage fright or the idea of like talking in front of people being like weird. I just kind of had to learn how to like follow the few basic rules of stand-up and then go from there, which is really nice.
It's so funny because I feel like a huge difference between, and this is something that I've been told and I have noticed, the reason why so many female comics soar farther and faster than male comics right after they start is because we take those lessons and we like actually learn from them, whether it's something as simple as like moving the mic stand out of the way to even just learning like, oh, if that joke bombs more than 3 times, I should probably change it, rather than being like, no, I'm hilarious, this is gonna be so.
Yeah, instead of being like, well, it's the audience, it's like, well, it's not the audience in 3 different locations on 3 different days at 3 different months.
Yeah, the call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah, the call is coming from inside the house. Go look in the mirror. It's you. It starts with you, and it needs to end with you.
And it needs to end with you now.
Put this joke down like a horse with a broken leg. It's not good.
Just shoot it between the eyes, honestly.
Shoot it between the eyes.
I've done that to many a joke.
Yeah, of Mice and Men It. If you want to get literature involved, just fucking take it
of
back.
Mice and Men It.
Have it talk about the bunnies, and then just mercy killing the back of the head.
I forgot about that part. Wow,
you forgot about the major part of Mice and
how
Men.
it happened. Yes, I know that it happened, but I forgot that he was like, it came up behind him. Oh, I read that book in high school.
Yeah, I think I read that in like the 10th grade or something.
Yeah, they make you do it sophomore year.
Fun times.
So when did you start comedy?
So I officially started comedy I graduated in spring of 2017. I'm 99% sure I started that fall. So like fall 2017.
Okay, cool.
So started that, and then I was still like living in Greeley for most of that first year of doing stand-up, just because, you get out of school and things are expensive. So we're just hanging out in the same place for a bit. And then the next year, like fall 2018, is when I finally like moved over to Fort Collins.
Cool.
And just kind of kept on going and like going and going.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun. So,
I know comedy is such a weird journey, isn't it?
It's weird because it goes by so fast and at the same time so slowly.
How did you get into it? Did you just kind of like decide, oh, I'm just going to try this?
I'd always kind of like thought about it in the back of my head, but what I wanted to be for a long time was like an actor and like performing on stage and like doing that. And even when I was doing that, I'd always like kind of excelled more at doing like comedic pieces.
Yeah.
Because I knew how to like read the lines in the way that they were supposed to be read and conveyed for it to actually be funny. It felt really natural.
Cool.
And I would see a lot of people like struggle with that, and they're like, well, like, no, this line is funny and I'm saying it. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not enough. Like, you can't just say it. You have to do the joke.
Yeah.
And that went over a lot of people's heads, and then I thought I was just kind of crazy. So, like I said, I went to college for theater, and I always had that in the back of my head. And then what really pushed me to do it was my sophomore year of college. I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I was in my dorm, and I was very sad, and I was very depressed. And I went on Netflix just to find something, and Chelsea Handler had just dropped her "You Gotta Be Kidding Me" special. I love Chelsea.
Yeah.
I grew up like watching Chelsea lately, and like
Same.
She was kind of honestly one of my first introductions to like women in comedy. And I was like, oh, this is like interesting, and like she does late night, and she's got all this stuff. She's very cool. And I was watching the special, and something just clicked with me where I was like, I want to be that.
Yeah.
I want to be someone that like everyone stops to listen to what I have to say, and what I'm saying is getting such a reaction out of them, like such a joyous response, that you just own them in a way.
Yeah.
And I was so into that like power dynamic and things like that, and just like how tough
you wanted to be powerful.
Yeah, I wanted to be powerful, which is weird. And I chose
it's not though.
Yeah, like
I think it's a different kind of power. It's not like power over people.
Yeah,
it's like having
like
the power
politics.
to like influence like an emotion.
Influence a room.
Yes.
And to like be able to really have things kind of follow the energy that you want it to, which I think is a useful skill in a lot of different aspects of life. But this is just like the cool way that we get to do it in like a pretty grand scheme way. So yeah, I was just watching it, and I was just so just so enthralled by the idea of it that I was like, well, what does it even take to like write a joke? Like, how do you do this? Do they just go up there and like make it up off the top of their head every night? Like, what is comedy beyond what I know it to be just as a viewer? So then I started like, writing, and I was writing a lot of really stupid stuff that is thankfully buried in the bottom of a notebook. That, that never needs to see the light of day.
Yeah, but you got to keep it though.
You got to hold on to it to like look back and remember how far you've come and be like, well, we didn't open this Pandora's box. Good for us. And so just like started experimenting with writing, and then when I was like still in college, maybe like my junior year, I was a part of like this film production club at the school. That was a total flop and probably still is. And we were putting like this event together to try and raise money for us. And I pitched like, well, we could do like a comedy show or something. They're like, okay, cool.
Bold.
Like, insane that my first time doing stand-up was like a self-produced like showcase and stuff like that.
What?
And I would not recommend anyone to ever do that. If someone ever pitched that to me, I'd be like, that's a terrible fucking idea. But I did it, and it kind of worked out because
holy shit,
I like did it, and I wrote like maybe 10 to 15 minutes of like material.
Oh my God.
And it actually went well. I'm sure if I looked at this tape now, I would feel a lot of ways about it for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But it went well, and like people really liked it. And I think it helped that like the other people who were on the showcase were like acting majors and stuff like that, who instead of writing jokes went and found other comedians' jokes and then like did them like a monologue.
Oh.
So they would go up there and be like, hi, I'm Randy, and I'm going to be doing Kevin Hart's like special from da-da-da. And I was like, this was insane. This was not what I wanted it to be at all. You're doing an audition. We're doing like, it was so weird. But that was my first time ever doing it. And then,
that is the most unique story I've ever heard about getting into comedy.
It's so dumb, though, because I'm like, why did I think I had the skills to do this out
because
the bat?
You didn't know. I mean,
I didn't know better,
no one
sure.
really knows when you get into comedy. There's like steps. It's like you have to go to an open mic, and then you have to get better at the open mic, and then you have to go to your first. Like no one tells you that. It's just something you have to figure out.
You stumble across eventually.
Yeah, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, I said fuck all those rules that I didn't know yet, and I just did it my way, which is kind of how I do everything in my life now.
Were there even like open mics in Greeley to go to?
At the time, not really. Or if there were, it was super underground. Because like when I started back in 2017, like, Denver was still like the main hub of a lot of like comedy. Yeah. And then everything in like the NoCo area was present in there, but it didn't quite have the attention that it eventually got, and then has continued to get now that we have like the Comedy Fort and stuff.
Right.
Up there.
Yeah. I'm sure that's like really changed stuff.
It has changed things a lot. And so like when I started talking to this one comic who was like in Denver at the time, and like he didn't really take me under his wing. He's kind of like gave me some tools. He was like, here's this website, 5280 Comedy. Like this has every show, every open mic in Denver, up in your part of like, Colorado. Check it out, see what you can find. And that's when I found like Three Kings, and I went down here, and that was my first ever open mic. And then I did the open mic at Hodie's, which went on to become the Comedy Fort. And just kind of kept on going and getting that more attention of like, you're really funny. How long have you been doing this? And I was like, just a couple months. And they're like, okay, that's annoying, but there's something in you. We're going to keep you around.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's a very funny like way to just like kind of weasel into it. Yeah,
to just accidentally like just stumble across it, and then also have the nerve to be like good at it too. I think that's not very relatable to a lot of people, I think, in comedy.
But honestly, like some of the best comedians, in my opinion, are people that came from theater or dance or acting or improv, because they already have a muscle that you kind of can't teach.
Yeah.
Like if you just start comedy and you were just like a chess player before, there's an innate instinct that you don't have as someone that has never been on a stage before, that you don't develop until you've already done comedy for like 10 years. And by that time it's like, well, how much have you really like done?
Exactly.
And then you have to, but the journey of comedy is a marathon, as we all know.
It is an absolute marathon, and it's a marathon that you can stop and start as many times as you want. And guess what?
Yeah,
that
no
race
one's keeping track.
Still gonna be, no one's keeping
track of how many water breaks you take, so you can veer from the path sometimes.
No one cares. Everyone is the center of their own universe. Mm-hmm. At most, just hope to be like an asteroid in someone else's. Like, while being the sun in your own, be an asteroid in someone else's. Just tertiary and unnecessary and like amongst thousands.
Yeah, like, that's just pretty in the sky.
Just be pretty in the sky. That's it. That's like the only advice I think I could give anyone who's like thinking about doing stand-up is just be like, accept the fact that you're going to feel like everyone is looking at you while no one is looking at you at the same time.
Yeah. No one cares.
No one cares.
Literally, not in like a mean way, but like no one cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not mean. It's not mean-spirited. It's not me trying to be negative. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares what you're doing. If you're doing great and they give you like compliments and success on that, I think that's great. I think that's awesome. But don't think that if you don't go to an open mic, people are talking about you and like saying like, oh, well, that person I guess doesn't have grind. Or if you announce that you want to like take a break from stuff, don't assume that everyone's just going to be like, well, guess we got another quitter on our hands. Like, because no one cares. They've got their own stuff that
Although
they're
I
doing.
will say, when I took a break earlier this year, I didn't tell anyone that I was taking a break. I just took the break.
Smart.
But then when I came back, a few people were like, we thought you quit comedy. Like, we heard a rumor that you quit comedy. And I was like, that's like a you problem.
Yeah, I mean,
like that's also really fucking weird that I just like didn't show up for a month and you were like, oh, she quit.
I guess she's done.
So weird.
Couldn't possibly be working on anything else in this normal life of yours, but
I know, right?
I mean, I respect you like not announcing it though, because
well, you don't need to.
You would think that, but I have a pretty notorious history that I'm working on of like feeling like I have to announce these things, and I think it just comes more from like a pathological need to be understood.
Yeah.
And I'm just now getting comfortable with being like, or you can just move through the world in like a little bit of silence. Mm-hmm. And it's okay.
Yeah.
People don't need to know your reasons for doing things. People don't, because whether they understand or not is then out of your control.
Well, and it's also not going to make a difference in their view of you, their opinion. Like you can't control what other people do, say, think of you, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like it makes sense in theory to like be open and like authentic, because we hear that so much now, just be like people crave authenticity, people want you to be real, but then when you do that sometimes it's like, okay, well maybe not this real.
Like, believe me,
every post shouldn't be starting with like TLDR, which I'm like guilty of for sure. You know, you shouldn't be posting like 20-minute videos of you crying about shit that happened years ago. Because no one cares. All you're doing now is just kind of making a spectacle of yourself and putting yourself into this negative light and painting yourself in this way that then, might actually impact people's views of you.
Yeah.
When had you just said nothing, no one would have even noticed or cared. Or maybe they do think you quit for a month and you get to be like, nope, you were wrong.
Yeah.
Come back and things are totally normal.
Yeah.
It's way easier.
And that was a very like specific situation with comics that I'm like very close to. So it was like, okay, yeah, I can understand why they thought that. But I definitely want to talk about your kind of like not break, but like phase out from comedy. Mm-hmm. But first, I want to get into kind of what this podcast is about, because I feel like it all ties together at the end, especially with your story. So as I ask everyone on this podcast, Rosalie, what is your current relationship with your body?
Honestly, I probably have the most positive relationship with my body that I have ever had at this moment in my life. I know, right? I know.
Okay, the episode's over.
And we're done. Yeah. Sorry, I was innately good at comedy when I started, and I love my body and myself.
I'm perfect.
And I'm perfect. And like cut. So, but I will say it took a long time to get here. But yes, right now I will say for maybe the last year or so, I really have like taken the steps to take care of myself in a way that not only makes me feel happier with who I am, like physically, mentally, and spiritually, but also just like, just you have to unlearn a lot of negative stuff in your 20s, I think. Yeah. And I have been doing that. And it's manifested in so many different ways. And one of the positive effects of that is that I now have a body that I have a good relationship with.
Hell yeah.
So I didn't initially set out to just like, be thinner or anything like that for the sake of vanity. That was a huge part of it, but that wasn't like the sole reason. there was a lot that I had to fix and work on, and then it just kind of like trickled down economics, like everything.
Trickle down economics.
Yeah, everything.
What
is
my body? Oh, that's hilarious. So when you say like take care of yourself, are you referencing like a weight loss journey?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I got back from Minneapolis like last October, and that whole year I had just been like really stressed about stuff and just like really angsty. And when I finally came back, I was like, I really don't have anything major going on now. Like there's nothing, I don't have like the next big thing that I'm waiting for. I kind of just have a lot of like downtime. I might as well see if I can actually like do this. Like see if there is a healthy way for me to get the goals that I want to have fulfilled for myself. If I can actually like do it in the healthy and smart way and like take my time and be patient and be understanding and be as healthy, whatever that means, as I can about it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of devoted myself to that. And then it started working, which was crazy to me to think like it was this easy the whole time.
Yeah.
Easy being a super
losing
relative
weight
term.
Is like really easy. But the problem is afterwards. What do you do afterwards?
Yeah. Losing weight, easy. Regaining weight, even easier.
Yep.
You know? Or just like deciding that you don't want to is also very easy and totally fine. And I think something else I had to do was like really revisit what body positivity meant to me. And what I have essentially come down to is that I think it has really good intentions, but it, like most things in life, can be used in a very twisted and distorted way.
Ooh, tell me more.
I feel like, because my understanding of body positivity, and this is just me, just speaking for myself, but like I feel like it was this message of like, no matter what size you are, no matter how you look, no matter any of these like very trivial things that will inevitably not matter when you turn to dust, you deserve to be happy. And I think that is true. You absolutely deserve to be happy with yourself. The problem is if you're not happy with yourself, because in my example, like I was bigger, I was very sensitive about that. I didn't like how that made me feel. When I would comment on those things, the body positive people who were like, well, you just need to love yourself would chime in. And it's like, that's great. And I'm trying to get there. But my way of getting there is me losing weight and like following, I hate to say it, but like, I guess like conventional like attractiveness and like what that means. Like, that for me meant following that path to get happy. Yeah. And they're like, well, no, you don't have to do that. You just need to be happy where you are now. And I'm like, I can be content where I am now, but happiness isn't something that is just, sprouting up naturally. It takes time, it takes nourishing, and it takes going down different paths. So that was a huge part of it. I got tired of being punished for wanting to be happy in my skin by doing things that didn't match another person's idea of happiness for me. It's
a very, very thin line to toe. And that is literally the reason I have this podcast, is because I think it is so cool and weird and horrible and amazing that, especially with the internet now, we're able to see everyone's perspective, whether it's someone living in a larger body on a weight loss journey, someone living in a smaller body in a recovery journey, someone in a mid-sized body trying to gain weight, someone getting plastic surgery. Like it's such a big gray area, and body positivity like is such a big movement and has become a very triggering phrase for a lot of people. Because there's also this idea that like, oh, you're glorifying obesity or whatever the fuck, which is so dumb. But like, it is valid to be like, okay, but I want to be positive with like something. Like I want to do this one thing. You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm really insecure about my skin sometimes. And I do all this shit to my skin. Like I microneedle my skin. I exfoliate. I do a mask like every day. I spend money on creams. I get facial. And I'm like, what's the difference between doing that and like getting a procedure or going for weight loss or whatever? Obviously, there's a lot of nuance to all of those things. What's the real reason behind it? Are you healthy? Do you need to be doing this to your body? All of this kind of stuff. But it's like, we all have different experiences and we all kind of have to like live life according to how we want to.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why can't my version of self-love be different than yours? Why does that threaten you? Why does it bother you if I want to like wear makeup when I go out? when you're over here being like, well, no, like you just need to have like a natural face and like you don't need to wear makeup. You don't have to do this. It's like, no, you're right. I don't have to do all this. I want to.
Or the idea of like not shaving your armpits or not shaving your legs. Like, oh, like this is your natural state. It's like, yeah, that's okay. I'm fine if someone doesn't want to shave their armpits. I could give less of a fuck.
It doesn't bother me even a little bit. I don't give a fuck.
But I don't want it under my arms.
Yeah, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Me. I don't want this.
Me. This person right here.
Yeah, me, this human being with my own thoughts and feelings and experience living in my body, I don't want those things. Yeah. So I don't have them.
And it's also, I think it's like also okay to have your own opinions about these topics and recognize that other people can have other thoughts. Like there have been guests on here that I've disagreed with, but I haven't like sat here and argued with them because I'm like, we all have valid thoughts and opinions and I just want to hear what everyone's is.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it's really interesting because like as a comic too, you are in this space that you're on stage all the time. So has that journey to get to this body that you want to be in been affected or caused anything weird to happen while you're on stage?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. The thing that was difficult with doing it was also doing comedy at the same time. You know, because so much of what we do have people taking pictures of us from all sorts of angles. Yeah. If I get tagged in one more like picture of like a downward like side profile,
my God, you're like the third person to say.
Because it needs to stop. It needs to. If you are someone that takes pictures, if it's professional, whether you're a fan or whatever, ask yourself before you post it. If I was this person, would this picture make me feel good about myself? If the answer isn't a 102% yes, you need to delete that shit off your phone and never let it see the light of day. Stop posting bad, unflattering pictures of people just to prove that you saw them.
I don't think people like care. Like every time I'm at a show and there's like a audience member or like an amateur photographer there, I'm like, oh, they don't care about me looking good at all. They just want to show that they were there.
Care.
You know, they're not looking to get like the most like professional.
I have legitimately told people who like photograph at like the club or whatever, if like there is a photographer, I will tell them, I'm like, listen, when you are going through these pictures later, if when you're looking at it, you don't feel like a little scratch of horniness, don't send it to me. No. I don't want to see it.
If your pee-pee doesn't wiggle a little bit when you see this photo.
Yeah, if you don't feel your heartbeat in your underwear when you're looking at that picture, I don't want to see it because that's not the impact I'm trying to put out into the world, so I don't want it.
Yeah, that's not my story.
Yeah, or they post like those pictures of you looking like a fucking goblin because you're doing an act out. And it's like, why that one? Yeah. Why did you think that was the picture to send me? That's not what I want to be. That's not how I want to see myself, but that's the only way I can see myself because I don't live in front of a mirror, so...
Do you feel more confident like in your body now on stage?
Yes and no. So the thing that I will probably always struggle with is I am a tall bitch.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 6'5" and I have a proclivity for wearing go-go boots and heels because I love them and I look great in them.
Hell yeah.
It makes it hard though for things like video and camera and things like that because then I'm on this already higher like level and most cameras and things are already still perpetually down here. Yeah. So then I am getting this like very distorted view of myself in a way. So that's tough. And like another thing I have to struggle with is like my voice. I hate the sound of my voice.
Oh, really?
I hate it so much. I think it's gotten better over the years.
Okay.
Because, like, I'll listen to, like, old stuff, like, pre-transition and be like, I did talk, like, a little deeper, like, a little, like, not as nasally as I do now. But like I don't love hearing my voice. Yeah. Because to me it does still sound like very masculine and things like that. And I used to have a joke making fun of it, but I had to stop it because it just started hurting my own feelings. And I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at being okay with that because I've had a lot of people be like, I love the sound of your voice. And I'm like, you need therapy. If this is relaxing to you, if you're listening to this right now being like, wow, she's so like sultry and she has like this gravel in her voice that's very calming, get help. But
no, I think you have a great voice. It's interesting because like I feel like a lot of people feel that way about their own voice.
Oh, for sure. Because it's also that thing of like what you hear
is different.
Yeah. And that'll fuck you up.
Oh yeah.
But I did learn like if you do like this thing where if you like put your hands like this and you talk.
Oh, and it like reverberates off. Yeah.
Yeah. You can actually hear what you sound like.
Interesting.
And I was like, I'm never putting my hands on my head again.
Yeah.
But thank you. Lots of people have said, like, genuinely, like, no, I love the sound of your voice. I think it's great. It's very unique. It, like, you don't blend in with, like, people. I'm like, great. All winning
awesome. Love that I'm standing
qualities.
out.
Thank you. Love being a woman that's standing out.
Yeah.
Love being a trans woman standing out in 2024. It doesn't sound dangerous or risky at all.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah, like, overcoming, like, you know, not trying to, like, overcorrect my voice and, like, getting weird and self-conscious about that on stage, being okay with like video being taken of me, being okay with like photos being taken care of me, and having to constantly coach myself to be like, this is a moment of time. This is not always, you know, you've seen yourself in the mirror. You know who you are, and you know
lighting,
who you look like.
angles,
editing,
literally makeup, anything and everything will affect it.
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
Always trust what you see in the mirror more than what you will ever see on a phone screen
I don't even trust a mirror, because I've had this conversation with my therapist many times where she will be like a mirror is literally a piece of glass. And I kind of look at her like, yeah, I'm not stupid. And
like, I'm aware.
And then she's like, no. You are not a 2D object, Morgan. You are a 3D person.
Oh,
and then I start to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I have to like talk myself out of it. But you have written, in my opinion, some of the funniest material I've ever heard. And it's a lot about being a trans woman. And it's like, I don't even know how you like came up with like I remember this joke about the fucking produce section at King Soopers with the thunderstorm. I was like, that is the most visceral like vision that you could input. It was so funny. And so I want to ask you, like, did you get to a place where you knew that this was the material you wanted to write, or did it kind of like just come naturally?
I think it came naturally, but also definitely out of necessity. Because when I transitioned, I'd already been doing stand-up for maybe a year or two at that point.
Okay.
And, like, I gotten to do, like, some showcases and stuff like that. I got to do, like, a couple of festivals and things like that. So, like, that was great.
Yeah.
And, like, comedy was doing okay. And it was in a really good spot. I do sometimes think, like, if I had never transitioned, I would be a lot further in my comedy career.
Oh.
But I can't really focus on that too much. Otherwise, I'll make myself crazy.
But do you think that would just because of, like, being a man or, like, being
Yeah, absolutely. Just being, like, a man at the time, like, a gay man. Like, especially, like, obviously, like, I know, like, gay guys, you have your problems and your struggles. And those are real and they are valid. And I hear you. I understand. Illy. Still significantly easier. It is easier to be any kind of man than to be any kind of woman across the board. Universal, just flat out. So yeah, I do think I would have gone further for those reasons, but also I wouldn't have spent like the last 4 years like working on, you know, being a person from scratch, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because I had to like get a whole new wardrobe. I had to, you know, actually like take time and like understand like what does being a woman mean to not just myself, but like other women, and like getting those stories and like understanding the parts of womanhood that I couldn't understand because I am trans and like things like that. And, you know, growing out hair and learning makeup and learning about all this other shit that most people get to do for the first 25 years of their life. I missed out, and I was trying to like get down in like such a condensed time, but I didn't want to necessarily stop doing stand-up during all of that.
Right.
So for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to be going through all of this. I have to be able to find a way to talk about it in a funny way. And also, I can't pretend like this isn't a unique thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Because there's not a lot of trans comedians out there. I mean, there are, but like, can you name like 5 off the top of your head that would be considered like what we would think of as famous?
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.
So obviously my little like, you know, creative, like money loving brain was like, I can really ride this. And like, this can kind of be my niche, you know, this will be what makes me different from other comics, other women, other queer people. Like, I can really, you know, make something of this. And I did. And I don't regret it at all. I still love a lot of those jokes that I have about being trans. I'm not going to never do them again or anything like that, because that would be insane, because they're good fucking jokes. But I am right now in a place of being like, I am so content with where I'm at, of like my body and my transition. Yeah. That now I just kind of want to like talk about and focus on like, I hate to say like normal, but like, yeah, like normal, regular,
because at the end of the day, like, you are a trans woman, but being trans is not your identity. Like, you are Rosalie. No. You are so much more layered. You are so much more vast as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is kind of frustrating that, like, I feel like this happens a lot to female comedians. It's like, when you're in a niche, that's your niche, and you better stay in it. You know, whether you're a super sexual, like dirty blue female comic that talks about sex, whether you're, you know, someone like me that talks about like body stuff all the time, whether you are like ex-Christian and you know what I mean? Like, it feels
single mom, like all that stuff.
It feels
once you find your path, you stick to it.
Yeah,
and you don't look at another path ever again.
Yeah.
And I hated that.
Yeah.
Because, it started happening more recently where, like, you know, people would talk about me as like, oh, that's Rosalie. She's the trans comedian. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be, I don't know if I want that to be my lead, you know? Like, and it's not that I'm, like, ashamed of, like, being trans or anything like that, you know? That's not what it's about. Right. I just want to be able to feel like I can do more, you know, and I want to have material that I can take to other places that maybe aren't as blue, or like maybe like, you know, they don't know anything about being trans, but they do know stuff about like, you know, regular everyday human shit. I want to be able to talk about those things, and I don't want to be so pigeonholed anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, I want people to recognize that there is Rosalie, and then there is real life, like Rosalie Taylor, you know? Like,
Yeah.
It is two different people, but I do kind of want to slowly integrate them together in a way that makes me feel a little more complete, as opposed to being like two halves of my brain all the time. Of like, I have to be the funny, witty trans comic all the time, and like, we're going to talk about bottom surgery,
Yeah.
And just like going through that all the time while having this like much more like in-depth like part of myself that's like actually very intelligent, like knows things, and wants to have like smart conversation, and like not just have that be off stage anymore, but like see if I can bring that on stage with me. And see how people respond to that, you know? Not so much the caricature of who I've been, but like the actual, as much as you can be when you're on stage, version of yourself. So that's where I'm at right now. And that's where I've been kind of like trying to work on for the last couple months. And like this sort of break thing that I was doing, you know?
Yeah. And for those listening, Rosalie, I don't want to say announced on Facebook.
No, say it. I have no qualm. I know exactly who I am. I know everything that makes me annoying.
No, it's not annoying.
It is annoying. I know it's annoying because when I see other people do it, I'm annoyed by it.
Oh, okay.
Like, again, the call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
So no, I made an announcement talking about how I originally wanted to do 6 months off. Can you imagine?
That's a amazing amount of time.
That's an amazing amount of time. It's also a delusional amount of time, I think. And
well, yeah, I mean, it depends on what your like life goals are, though. You know what I mean? But stand-up is one of those things where if you're not constantly sharpening the blade, it dulls very quickly.
It does, absolutely. And I definitely let my blade get dull a lot, which I need to work on for sure.
How long have you been taking a break, or are you still on the break?
I'm no longer on the break. I only made it a month.
Yeah.
I made it 1 month.
Yeah, that's where I was at.
And when I set out on this whole thing, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything stand-up related. I'm not going to write. I'm not going to, like, you know, try and, like, think funny. I'm not going to be worried about what everyone else is doing. I'm just going to focus on me. Yeah. And just being a normal, regular person. And then I got so fucking bored. Yeah. That I did naturally start writing. Yeah. About stuff that like has nothing to do with like being trans or anything. Awesome. Which is great. And I'm happy that that's like what came out of it. But that to me was kind of my signal of being like, okay, if it's been a month and I haven't done anything else, like any of this like weird hobby shit that I was thinking about doing, I'm probably not going to do it in the next 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Was because I remember the you had mentioned in the post something about how you kind of felt like you were being pigeonholed as the trans comic.
Yeah.
Was that kind of like the catalyst for taking the break, where you were like, I'm tired of being like categorized as this, I'm just gonna walk away for a while?
That was definitely a huge part of it. The other thing was just like having so much of my relationship with like myself change over the last year. It really left me enough time to like also kind of analyze my relationships that I had with other people and like how I was being perceived.
Yeah.
And what I discovered was that I did not love the version of myself that I had been selling.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, I don't regret that. It got me as far as it got me. And I said all those things. I did all those things. That was me 100%. This is not me trying to retroactively get on here and cry and be like, well, no, like I was that way, but now I'm not. Like, no, I was that way, and now I'm trying to.
You're in a new season of life. You grow. People grow and change. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it came down to like the whole like pigeonholing thing for being trans, but then also just like I was worried that people were starting to just like kind of look at me as just like kind of this like dumb hot bimbo, because I had been trying to get them to see me as a dumb hot bimbo for about a year. And I got what I wanted, which turns out does not always lead to happiness. Because I only started to like actually believe that I was like an attractive person a year ago, like genuinely. And like because like I had heard it my whole life, but like you know how it is when you're like in the thick of it. It doesn't matter who's saying it.
Yeah.
It's not real. It can't possibly be real. Yeah. They're dumb. They're stupid. They're clearly blind and have no idea what I am. So I only started to like actually like have that kind of confidence in myself within the last year.
Nice.
And then it manifested as being like, you know, a little more flirty in public and like doing thirst traps and like having fun and like selling like, you know, some more like spicy content, like if ever I wanted to and things like that, which was fun.
Do you sell spicy content?
Not so much anymore.
Oh,
like
okay.
During the pandemic, I like hopped on. I feel like everyone in the pandemic did one of two things. You got on TikTok or you got on OnlyFans. And
I did both.
Congratulations to you. You did the right thing in the long term. I chose the not as lucrative one, and I was like on OnlyFans for a little bit.
Okay.
I had like it was it wasn't really connected super to like my like normal social media and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I tried to have like a little bit of distance with it.
It's so hard because you can't like it has to be connected to something for people to find it.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's not like a searchable platform.
Yeah, I didn't like overly like dig into it a whole lot. It was fun. It was a cool experience, and like from there, I've had like times where if ever I'm like low on cash or if I just like want like, drinking money, I'll like be like, yeah, I'm going to sell a picture of my boobs for $5, whatever.
Nice.
And it's fine. But then some people get like annoyed with it. They're like, no, you should be charging so much more. And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to make a career out of this. I'm literally just trying to get like a little pocket change to go to Wendy's.
There are people that will pay an absurd amount of money for the most tame photo, but it is kind of like, you have to do a little bit of work to find those people.
Exactly, and I don't want to do that work.
Yeah,
I hate working. I'm not about to go search for horniness when horniness naturally comes to me. Yeah. I'm just gonna, feed the chickens I have here and go from there. Collect their eggs, get out.
I'm very pro OF. I obviously have had a lot of struggles with it. Men are really fucking annoying, but it's also enabled me to do a lot of shit in my life that is crazy. Yeah, honestly, crazy. But I think like your journey is so awesome and interesting because I think as comics, we're kind of bred to believe this idea that showing your weakness is like sacrilegious to the art of comedy. It's like, no, you have to grind all the time. You can't complain. You have to put up with the weird men at the bar. You have to stay up until 2 a.m. You have to write every day, even if you don't want to. Like, and so being able to be like, no, I'm going to step back. I need to focus on me, I think is really strong and really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of have more of this mentality now of like, I'm going to do this my way.
Yeah, because there's that's the thing about comedy is like, there is kind of a way to do it, like open mics, shows, get better at shows, submit to festivals. Like there's a ladder. But now, like with the internet and with podcasts and with anyone with a camera, a phone, you can have whatever kind of career you want. And so it's like silly for us to be like thinking that we can only go this one route. We're all bottlenecking into the same lane.
Exactly. And I know so many friends and stuff who are doing that traditional path, and they're some of the most miserable fucking people I've ever met. So I'm like, okay, maybe not that.
Well, comedy is like it's really fun. I feel like I always shit on comedy on this podcast.
I actively shit on comedy 99% of the time in any conversation I'm having. It is absolutely my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it's like the most addicting thing ever, but it is like a very shitty hobby to have.
It's
what I mean?
Shitty hobby I can't imagine having it as a hobby. Like,
I
people
know,
are doing
dude.
this for free.
Some of the people that they've been doing it for like 15 years, and the most they do is like a brewery show. I'm like, dude.
A brewery show like once a year that pays like $10 and comes with like 2 drink tickets.
Yeah. I'm like,
and like, if that's your idea of success, go on, rock out with your bad self. Congratulations. Queen. Me personally, I would not do this for free.
Yeah, no.
I would not. Like, you got to give me a little something.
Yeah.
I can't. This is too stupid, and you have to deal with way too much shit.
Yeah, no.
To, not be having it write off on your taxes a little bit.
Speaking of which, have you, like, I know a lot of comedians like put stuff on the internet. Like some people are really into posting clips, some aren't. Has your relationship with your body or your appearance changed at all being a performer online?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't really start like posting clips or anything until I had transitioned and stuff like that. And even then, I don't do it a whole lot because the internet is a disgusting, dirty, nasty
it's
place
like really horrible.
There's nothing really good there. There is good there, but
it's pretty rough.
You have to look really hard for it sometimes.
Yeah.
And so my experience with like that has always come like and tied back into those issues of like, dysmorphia and things like that, and like my insecurities with myself and so many things like that. But then you add on the 2 most non-winning things that you can be right now, which is a woman and trans, and that makes it so much worse. And I listen to, because I think that's like a universal like femme comic thing, is like you have the war stories of like the awful things that get said to you in your comments,
Oh, because it doesn't matter if you're the funny. You could have 3 Netflix specials. I still see people in Taylor Tomlins's comment section being like, "Wow, she's trying so hard to be funny like a man." She's not, and it's like, she's one of the most successful fucking comedians right now. What are you talking? Like, it's like there's no excuse. It's just being a woman is like against. And the
also,
art.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, Gary from Indiana.
Gary from Indiana who works at Geico Insurance. What the fuck do you know about being funny or anything? And yeah, she's trying hard. That's called working hard, you fucking dumbass. Like, what are you talking about? She's working so hard. And like, yeah, you have to be successful. That's the fucking trade.
It's so wild to see like people
wild.
Just like mad at women just being women.
Just existing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like having all of that experience and like stuff like that. But then I get that extra spicy level like of trans, which is why I think for the most part, I don't read comment sections. I refuse. I refuse.
Good.
If I could, I would turn them off on everything, but I know that's like horrible for engagement and everything.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then I feel gross for thinking about things like engagement in a serious way, and then it all just spirals down from there. So I try to avoid reading comments as much as I can. What is harder to avoid, though, is direct messages.
Ooh,
that is where people... We talked about it a little bit. Comment sections are where people go to be awful and mean. Your direct messages are where people go to absolutely just let it all out.
Yeah.
Like, I have had people say the craziest, most horrific shit to me that I think if most people received, they would probably go to the police.
Oh my God.
And I'm not saying that to like get pity or anything like that. I'm just saying it's something that I personally have to deal with a lot.
Yeah.
So then I add all of that stress into it. And then that also leads into me like having these moments of being like, well, do I really want this much attention online?
Yeah.
Do I want to put myself out there knowing that the reactions, is it worth the risk?
Yeah.
And that is a conversation that I can only really have with myself and give an answer to. And that answer can change daily.
Yeah.
It
is a huge trade-off to put yourself out there on the internet and be like, well, I can put out a clip that's really good and it gets attention and people follow me and they click on all my links or whatever. Or I could put something out and it completely gets shit on and it becomes like a war against women in my comment section and everyone just like, you're a terrible comic. And then you're just kind of left.
You feel like you're just providing this like battleground for this bullshit to happen. And then that doesn't feel good either.
But I will say, and I do want to know what's in your DMs, but I will say this, something that has been happening to me recently is I have been kind of, I'm not going to lie, rage baiting a little bit on Threads.
Threads? Because of all the places to do Threads, I guess.
I love Threads because it's the type of platform where like you follow people, but the feed is like a For You page. It's like you'll see threads from people that you don't follow, but like they're in your niche. So I see a lot of like women posting shit about like body positivity, the shit that men do to them, whatever. So I'm kind of in this algorithm where my shit gets sent to like those girls or like the angry men. And so I'll post stories about how something misogynistic happened to me at a comedy show or something happened to my friend or a DM I got. And it will get so much attention. And then I'll get a check from Threads for like $300.
That's insane.
And I'm like, well, I mean, clearly someone's winning out of this situation. You know what I mean?
I mean, if the reward is worth it, take the reward and run.
It's crazy.
You know? And that, oh my God.
I know. I tell everyone, I'm like, get on Threads and just start saying shit.
And just start letting it all hang out.
And to be clear, everything I'm saying is true. I'm not like making shit up. I just noticed that when I started like kind of venting, it would get a lot of attention, mostly from like women that were like, yeah, I get this too, whatever. And then it kind of started to get to the men. And then as soon as it hits the male, like pages and they start to see it on their feed, then it really catches like wildfire. And I just think it's so funny because it's like, wow, I'm really like making a good chunk of change just from men being mad.
Yeah, just from people being angry.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And you do have to look at it that way. As like reminding yourself, like, no matter what they're saying or doing, they are engaging with this.
Yeah.
Which in the algorithm world that we live in now.
Yeah, I hate that that's like a thing. But I also kind of love it.
Only helping the wheel turn. So
yeah. I'm like, Mama's going to go to Goodwill. I'm like, I'm going to go thrifting with this.
It's, so... That, ooh.
I know, wild, right? So get on Threads.
Yeah.
I want to see these DMs though. I mean, have some DMs?
So I can think of a couple off the top of my head. And like I said, there are the ones that are like super graphic and terrible.
Love
like
it.
Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, Mercer
my God.
It's crazy.
So not sexual, but like threatening?
I mean, a little bit of both sometimes.
Oh, good. Okay. A good healthy
It's really
mix.
interesting how someone can be so transphobic, but then like tell you how they want to fuck you, but then also like kill you at the end of it. And I'm like, this was a journey to read. This was, I fell in love with you. And
you're
then
like, you should write a novel.
And now I'm back.
Yeah.
So like getting stuff like that obviously weighs on my head a lot. And I don't think a lot of people innately think of that as being something that happens because that's not... Obviously, like, I know a lot of women get, like, threats and stuff like that. That is the unfortunate reality that we still live in. It's a different, almost, like, disproportionate amount, though, once you add, like, the whole trans thing into it. Yeah. Especially right now where it is so political. Because it's not just men saying this. It's a lot of men saying these things to me. Don't get me wrong. It is a lot of men. But it's also not women. You know? It's not other women not just like going for it, which cracks me up. And those bitches I will sometimes reply to because I'm like, you can't tell me shit about myself. You look like a dog that escaped a kill shelter.
Dude.
I don't want to hear your opinions on womanhood. You are a fucking toad on a boulder. Anything you have to say on this subject means nothing.
What are they saying to you?
They're just saying like that usual. It's not even like original shit though. It's just like, you know, you'll never understand like the hardship of being a woman. Like you don't get a period. You'll never like have a baby. And I'm like, well, I don't want a fucking baby. So I guess I'm kind of winning in that regard.
Also, you're winning not having a period. It's literally not that deep.
Also that.
It's like not that deep. I'm not mad that you don't have it. If anything, I'm like, yeah,
you're
good
like,
for
damn,
you.
Bitch, you cracked the code.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations to you.
That is so weird to me that like there are women out there that gatekeep womanhood. It's like,
but
why
it's
do
the parts that they don't even like?
Yeah, they're like, they're gonna complain about it when it's like you have probably experienced more bullshit than they ever will simply because you are a trans woman. But they're like, well, you don't have to have a period. You're like, oh, great, but I get threats every day. Sick.
Like, you're right. I do not have to deal with that. You are correct in that regard. I do still buy tampons for my house because I have people that come over that have a period and I want them to be taken care of. I understand that. I grew up with a mom and a sister. I saw all the bullshit that came with that. I've had a lot of like women friends. I've seen them like climb and fall in their careers and stuff because they talk to me about it. And I am just human enough to have the empathy to listen and understand and connect with them in regards to that. I can understand your struggle. Can you try to maybe understand mine a little bit? And that's where the conversation dies. Every fucking time.
Yeah.
And then, I do make fun of them for like, every time they sneeze, they have a little bit of piss in their pants and I don't. I'm like, yeah, I'd be mad too.
Yeah.
That must really suck.
What are men saying to you?
Well, men are just saying like all the crazy shit, everything between like wanting to just dick me down to just like, telling me I'm disgusting, that I'm hideous, that they knew I was a man the second they saw me, which is crazy because that doesn't happen in real life really ever. And I'm like, okay, part of this is because you just watched a clip where I actively said I was trans. So maybe ask yourself if that's true.
Yeah.
Or I've had guys just like hit me up just because they like saw me post like a picture and they thought I was cute. And then I tell them I'm trans and they're like, what? And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I am clearly getting away with murder or whatever this crime is.
Yeah.
So guys just saying crazy shit like that. And that's like the negative side of it. I do have some stuff that is, I think, just inherently funny and just like kind of something you shouldn't say to anyone, especially women though. I had a guy after I like did a show. I was at like King Soopers just grocery shopping. And he like came up to me and he recognized me from doing stand-up. He was like, oh, I think you're so funny. I think you're great. And I was like, thank you so much. It's very kind of you. And then I like go about the rest of my day and then I got a message on Instagram and it was from him.
Oh no.
And he was like, listen, I gotta be honest with you. I really do love your stand-up, but I would pay a crazy amount of money just to go down on you for an hour.
Wow.
Like, okay.
For an hour?
For an hour?
Jesus Christ.
I was like, that is kind of eating up my day at that point.
Yeah.
I don't need an hour.
I have appointments to get to.
I have things to do.
Yeah.
I do grocery pickup for a reason. My day is busy. And so just like stuff like that of people just like, either confessing like their weird love for me or something, or just like lusting after me super hard. And then they don't care about the jokes. And then I'm like, well, you should care about the jokes. If the jokes are what brought you here, like, can you acknowledge that I'm funny? And they're like, no, you're just hot. And I'm like, okay, well, that feels both good and bad at the same time now. And I don't know how I should.
What did you say?
I just said, no, thank you. Like an idiot. He offered me $300 and what I could have used? $300 fucking dollars.
Wow. But then it's like one of those things. It's like, is he really gonna have the 300? Is he really gonna do it? Or is he just gonna come over and like punch you in the face? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
And then you
like,
add that. Is there gonna be like a $300 gift card to Culver's? Like what am I really?
$300 worth of Kohl's cash.
Oh my God, that would be great. The holidays are coming up. That could have changed my life. Damn, I gotta find this guy again.
Oh
see
my
if that offer still
God.
stands.
We have to land this portion of the plane. So I have all of our guests do this, and I'm so happy I started doing this because I think it's so fun. We have an affirmation board here, and it says my body, my affirmations. And I would love for you to write your favorite affirmation and then sign it. And you get to choose a pretty color Sharpie.
I'm gonna do pink.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So my affirmation is very simply, if you wouldn't sleep with them, don't let their opinion of you matter.
Damn.
Just at all. And like conversely, like if you would sleep with them, like you probably shouldn't let their opinion of you matter too much. Like you should be your own person. But like especially
stick by your affirmation.
Don't let ugly people get in your head because they're ugly and you're not. So
hey,
just stand in that.
And that's on period.
Let's see.
Period. What is it? If you wouldn't sleep with them, don't let their opinion.
Yeah, if you wouldn't sleep with them, don't let their opinion of you matter.
Wow. That's here I was thinking that it was going to be like, I am strong. Nope. I am whatever. Nope. If you wouldn't sleep with them, don't do anything else. That's amazing. I think affirmations are like so silly, but like so personal. So I want to know like what else you tell yourself in the mirror.
A lot.
Yeah.
say a lot of shit to myself just to get through the
Hey, you have to, though.
the day.
You have to say a lot of shit to yourself. I can't wait till this board's all like filled up and I can like take a photo of it. It'll be so cute. Do you still go by Rosalie, or are you doing Rosalie Taylor now?
So I just do Rosalie for comedy purposes.
Gotcha.
And that actually came from Sam Talent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't remember how it necessarily came up, but pretty much he was like, yeah, you could just go by your first name. Like, Rosalie's not a common name.
Yeah, it's not.
You're not going to be competing with, like, Beth or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique.
Oh, I love that.
So I was like, oh, yeah.
Did
like,
you sign it Rosalie, or did you sign it Rosalie?
I just signed
Taylor?
it Rosalie.
Oh, cute. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, but then, like, in my real life, I am, as of this summer, Rosalie Lilith Taylor. So that is my full name, just Rosalie Taylor, first and last. That's it. I'm happy I get to say it here because I've had so many iterations of my name over the years. Yeah. Nobody can keep track of it anymore. It's kind of its own really horrible joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, for comedy and stuff like that, I'm just Rosalie. In my normal day-to-day life, I'm Rosalie Taylor.
Cute. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
I'm so glad that we got to talk about so much. And if you would like to tune in next week, Rosalie and I are going to talk about body dysmorphia.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to get just some table conversation.
Lighthearted conversation about a subject I have no personal experience with because I'm perfect.
Yeah, same here. So really, it's just going to be a clean cut episode. But if you would like to support the show, the best thing you could possibly do is just give us a rating on Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen on. That's like the best way for my podcast to grow. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, just keep checking out the episodes. We got the video episodes on Spotify and YouTube. And moving forward, we'll be releasing an episode every week with an interview with someone and then discussing a topic the next week with the same person. So it's going to be really fun. I'm excited about this new format.
I can't wait. It's going to be a good time.
Where can everyone find you?
Everyone, you can always find me on any social media platform as just OMG Hi Rosalie. All one word, very simple, or just type Rosalie because, again, not a popular name. You'll probably find me within like the first 5 people.
Perfect.
So get out there.
Perfect. Just like Beyonce.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.